all profit is value extraction, and that means that all profit is theft from you.
Corporate America is on welfare, and we've got to get them off welfare.
The last words on my lips, I am a revolutionary, and you're gonna have to keep on saying that.
Hello, and welcome to Cars and Comrades, your favorite anarcho-Bidenist car podcast. Or, I can't remember, were we anarcho-Bidenist or Marxism-Bidenism? I can't remember. What was it? Do we have a consensus?
I'm still anarcho-Stalinist.
Anarcho-Stalinist over here? Okay.
Yep.
Well, you know, whatever it is, multi-tendency socialists doing a car podcast, because we still like cars, and yeah, hopefully our listeners do too. Anyway, this week...
Oh, I'll go with revisionist hoshists, so that, like, the 6 people who get that joke will be very mad at me.
I'll say that I'm a supremist in that I follow the teachings of Vermin Supreme.
All right, well, a lot of ideological diversity here, but anyway, hopefully your favorite socialist car podcast. Anyway, we're doing news stories this week and some various updates. So with me this week, I've got Brandon, Zach, and Bryant, all he, him pronouns.
Howdy. Yep.
Nope, I'm anti-nouns.
Oh, anti-nouns, great.
Yeah.
And then this is Connor, the other host, with also he, him pronouns. So
I would prefer not to be referred to. For all intents and purposes, I don't exist.
I actually find existence itself pretty objectionable, so, like, I'll respect everyone's pronouns, but I'm still just going to be anti-everything, because I didn't volunteer for this shit. I've been taking a lot of black pills lately.
Yeah, haven't we all? Anyway, so let's get started with various project car updates and whatnot. I think that's who goes first usually, Brandon or Bryant? I can't remember.
Well, or wait, you had your little thing for the listeners, right?
Oh yeah, that's right.
We're gonna do that first.
Yeah, let's do that first. My bad. I'm terrible at these intros. Still getting used to it.
Sorry if I created more work for whoever's editing this.
Oh no, this is staying in. The listeners got to see what this is how the sausage is made, folks. It's ugly. Anyway, so I did want to do a little call out here to any listeners who might have something to offer. If you listen to our show and you think you've got something that could be worth mentioning on the air, we'd love to hear it. We like to interact with our listeners. We do online all the time. We've got all the social media platforms, and I do interact with a lot of people online in that respect. But at the end of the day, we are just 4 cis white dudes, and our perspectives can be pretty limited. So we definitely want to hear from people who belong to various other communities and might have kind of different experiences that they'd like to talk about with respect to the car scene, and you know how they might navigate the car scene a little bit differently than someone like us, you know, who can kind of blend in pretty easily with a sometimes very reactionary crowd. So if you are, you know, female identifying or trans or non-binary, or you are black, indigenous, or other person of color, please tell us about your experiences. And if you're interested in coming on the show, we'd love to have you. We're not too elitist over here. And
I am.
except for Brandon. But we're all pretty simple. We don't have wild setups or anything. Come on the show. It really takes no practice. You can do it. Reach out to us. Our email is carsandcomrades@gmail.com. And if you follow us on social media, we are Cars and Comrades pretty much everywhere. So, or Cars and Comrades podcast. We're on Instagram.
And if you don't follow us on social media, do that, you fucking asshole.
Yeah, you should do that. Yeah, I put a lot of effort into various memes and such. So
yeah,
we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook. I don't post there very much, I'm going to be honest with you. But follow us there and I might start posting there. We'll see. But we're also on Hexbear and Reddit. And are there any others? I think that's all of them.
I think you said Facebook, right? We're not really doing a whole lot of posts on there.
Yeah, I'm pretty lazy on that. But follow us there, reach out, and we want to hear from you, and we want to work. We want to put other voices forward more than just our own.
Yeah.
So
you should follow us on Facebook so that you can share our communist memes with your boomer parents, because that's
exactly.
You should follow us on Instagram so you can see me troll Connor from my personal account.
A constant.
Or what you should do is start your own socialist podcast and become our rivals and bitter enemies.
We need rivals. I'm still calling you out, Liam.
Liam who?
There's your problem. He seems like he'd be a really fun rival.
Oh, there you go. Okay, we got a rivalry.
I got no beef with him. I just want a rivalry with someone.
Yeah, we need a rivalry. It's getting stale.
How about the New England Patriots? They can be our rivals. I don't know.
I'm actually comfortable being a rival of any Patriot.
There you
go.
Hey-o.
Anyway, so yeah, reach out. We love our listeners, and we like hearing from various different kinds of people who have totally different experiences than us. And we'd also like to hear in the future from, automotive techs or people who sell cars at dealerships, whatever. Definitely a lot of interesting topics out there. A lot to hear from. Seriously, if you're listening to this show, there's a good chance you've got something to contribute. And we demand.
There's that guy that called into. There's that guy that called into Street Fight about a year ago, who worked at a used car dealership, who had some pretty good stories.
Yeah, at some point.
Yeah, I would venture to say that if you used to work at a car dealership, get in touch with us. If you currently work at a car dealership, what the fuck is wrong with you? Quit that job. You're the worst.
Yeah. So, that person actually who called into Street Fight, all that, however long ago it was, definitely got me thinking. I was like, there's some good info here, especially because I don't understand anything. Like, how does a warranty work? I don't know. I'll probably never know because I'm just too scared of.
You got to answer the call about your car's extended warranty.
Thank you.
Well, anyway, that's my spiel. Reach out to us. Our email is carsandcomrades@gmail.com. And if you're not already following us on social media, you should do that and, reach out there. We get a lot of messages there as well. So we want to hear from you. We like our listeners. Please reach out. So that's my spiel.
All right. So what do we want to do for... You want to do reverse alphabetical order, since I think we did alphabetical last time for car project updates?
Let's do it. Zach, you're first.
That's me. Yeah. I can't remember exactly where the last update on the Ranger left off, but I've replaced basically every mechanical part on it at this point. That's a front diff, rear diff, engine, waiting on a transmission, radiator, front hubs are getting rebuilt. It's got new brakes, a new AC system, and I think that's about it for the big stuff.
Oh, that's it.
That's all. Just those.
Congratulations on putting the most effort I've ever heard of anyone putting into a Ford Ranger.
Right.
It's so not worth it. I love it. I'm waiting on a transmission right now because I tried to put a 95 transmission into a 93 and it's just too new. It's electronically controlled and it doesn't work. So I scrapped that. Ended up getting my money back for that transmission, so no big loss there. But I decided to spend $2,100 on a rebuilt transmission for a $2,800 truck because I am so fucking good with my money. Like, it's ridiculous. This should be a financial podcast.
I will say that I think this is a stance I've taken more so in private, like, group chats and whatnot. But I will absolutely forever stand putting money into a vehicle and just avoiding the materialist aspect, like not like dialectical materialist, but like just wanting possessions, always wanting new things, blah blah blah. Like, fuck it, man. You're making a truck truly utilitarian by keeping it on the road forever. I support it. it's a terrible financial decision, but I mean, a lot of good decisions are still bad financial decisions.
You know what? I don't even
doing things for yourself.
I don't even know if it's a bad financial decision. To be honest with you, what a $400 to $600 a month fucking car payment? I don't know. It's kind of a no brainer to me. I also did just
new cars are for suckers.
Yeah, I've also spent many thousands of dollars on my old 2003 daily drift car, and so I feel like I gotta stick up for that too. So I get it.
Yeah.
Putting money into an old car feels weird, but hey, it's new shit. It's rebuilt. Should last forever now. Fuck it. I'm with it.
Yeah, that's the hope. I mean, I'm going to rationalize it by saying that, if it wasn't for me keeping it on the road, it would go to a junkyard, and then I would need to buy a different truck, and that's just not environmentally friendly. So, I'm doing it for the planet, really. That's going to be my justification here.
Because it's a small truck, I feel like you can get away with that. Like, they're not the modern super trucks that, are obnoxious.
No, it's definitely not. It does have a gigantic lift on it. It's got a 5.5-inch lift and 35-inch tires. So it's bigger than most like 2500s on the road, but it's such a small truck that it looks like someone who never skipped leg day and also never did arm day. Which I don't know why, but I think is such a cool vibe. I love tiny trucks with just massive lifts and tires on them because it's like, if you do that to a 2500, it's like, that guy's compensating. Like, that's little dick energy. But if you do it to a beat to shit old little light duty pickup, I don't know. It's just got such the like classic.
It's got a monster truck feel to it.
Dirt poor redneck vibe. You know, not this new age chrome redneck.
I had a lifted Toyota pickup, so I feel you. Like,
oh, dude.
Why don't you?
If Yoders weren't like $15,000 for the cheapest ones, I would have an old like first gen Tacoma for sure. I think they're so cool.
No, this was like I don't think it wasn't a Hilux, but it was like whatever like the really small like Toyota pickups are. A friend of mine had it, and it was long before I was a car guy, and he was leaving the country, and he was like, "Hey, do you just want this?" And I was like, "Well, yeah." Because like the gearing was all wrong. It wasn't on 35s or anything. And I don't remember how much lift it had, but I think it topped out at like 70 miles an hour or something because it was just not built to like have the tires or lift that it had. And I barely fit in the cab, but I still had to climb up into it because I'm fucking 6'4". So like, it was all sorts of wonky. That truck ruled. I
think in the 80s they just called them the Toyota truck.
Yeah,
there was
Yep.
It was late 80s to early 90s, so like I'm never sure what to call it because it wasn't like a Hilux, but it wasn't a Tacoma.
Yep, it was.
Did they get called like a T100 or a T1000 or something like that?
I think that was just a trim level.
No, that was a Terminator.
Oh,
that was
okay.
That was
they actually had one. They actually had one as product placement in one of the Terminator movies, one of the not so good ones. I forget which one. But yeah, there's also the Toyota van. It was just called a van.
I like that
simplicity.
That is the like communist utopia that I hope for one day. This is this brand, and here it is. This is our van. This is our truck. This is our sedan. This is our muscle car. There you go. Toyota muscle car.
Yeah.
Ford van. Volkswagen sedan. That's what it should be. No spending bajillions of dollars on stupid marketing. Hey, we're this company, and here's our van. Here's our truck, and here's our, sporty, whatever. That's what it should be. No more names, just the car.
Yeah, because they spend millions of dollars, like, focus grouping names, and then you get shit like a VW Arteon, which sounds like a rejected Pokemon name, and I hate it.
Connor's trying to bring brutalist architecture to automotive design.
Yes. I love it.
I don't know if concrete cars are a good idea, to be honest, but
I'm saying an aesthetic. I'm not saying make it out of concrete. I'm just make it insanely utilitarian at the expense of everything else. Like, that's all.
Yep. I'm with it.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm over here like trying to buy paint setup so I can just put metal flake on everything I own.
Yeah, I think that's all I had for mine.
All right, that puts me next.
Yep.
Cool. I can do my ABCs.
Can you do them in reverse?
Yeah. See, I can't.
Not even when I'm sober.
I can't do the like full alphabet backwards. Like if I were to get pulled over sober, I'd be like, nah, just come on now. Who can do that?
Oh, I practice it a lot just in case I ever.
Do you?
Just kidding. Don't drive and don't drink and drive. I'm joking.
Yeah, don't do that.
I don't condone that.
Yes, absolutely do not get caught drinking and driving. It's very bad.
So I haven't. I don't have too many updates this week. Although I did run into a setback on my Nissan, which is scary. So I had a car's been in the shop all this time. I've been pushing back a tuning appointment till when it's done. So I'm just keeping an appointment on the books. So I was running up on my latest appointment, and we ran into a problem where, shop calls me and says, "Hey, there's only one head gasket in all your parts." And I was like, "Oh, fuck, you're sure there's not two?" And he looked around. I looked around at home to see if I forgot it, and I didn't see it. He didn't see it. So I was like, fuck. So I call the place where I got all the parts, Z1, and I hit him up, and I was like, "Hey, I think there's a problem here. I don't think we got shipped the head gasket, because we have the left side head gasket, and I think when I looked at it, I assumed that both were in there, and so I just was fine with it." Well, then it takes forever to hear back. So I'm calling every day, not really getting an answer. "Oh yeah, I'm going to go talk to so-and-so," and then I don't hear back. So I keep calling. It takes about 4 or 5 days, but then I find out, okay, there was a mistake. So it didn't actually ship out both head gaskets. So I only got one, which they actually said, I found this interesting. They're like, "Oh yeah, there was a problem with how it was like coded into our system, because like I bought it as part of like a full engine rebuild kit." And so I was like, "Wow."
And it was a left side engine.
Well, so this was when I was like, "Oh, I guess that sounds like no one else has ever ordered this rebuild kit before." So I sprung for like the high end kit with like everything. It was like, it's the whatever, quote unquote, level 3 kit. So this was like the top of the line shit. Guess I'm the only one who's ever gotten it, because they apparently didn't know about this issue in how they had the head gaskets. So yeah, I got to be the lucky guinea pig that didn't get a head gasket. So anyway, they're like, "Oh cool, we'll have it shipped direct from the manufacturer, whatever. We'll send you an email with an update, whatever." So I get an email the next day, and it says, "Okay, it'll be shipping from Cometic," which is like the head gasket brand, which, as far as I understand, is like the head gasket you want. Like they're the good shit. Well, so they say, "Okay, this will ship at the end of next month," and I was like, "Nope,
No, oh yeah,
nope, not gonna work." So I call them up, and I was like, "Hey, yeah, that's not gonna do it for me. I need something else. So what can we figure out here?" So we talk about it, and we're like, "Oh, okay. So here's a Tomei head gasket set that's in stock, and here's the same size and everything." Which Tomei's a perfectly good brand. I was like, "Yeah, let's do that. Ship that fucking today. Let's come on, let's go." So they're shipping both head gaskets for Tomei, and then I have to send back the one I've got, and they've got notes, and I'm going to send it back and get a refund on that part of it, and I just got charged for the Tomei, which thankfully I'm not like super strapped for cash that I can do that, make it work, but like, yes, Zach.
I have a question. With this engine rebuild, are you decking the block or the heads?
Yeah, all that was already done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that factored into the head gasket size? Because there are different thicknesses.
Yep.
And if you deck enough, you do need to change thickness.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be stock thickness. It wasn't decked that like there wasn't that much that needed to be done. Everything was already pretty fucking close. So like they took it apart and they're like, yeah, we don't have to fucking do too much work. We're going to resurface this essentially. So
I just watched someone do a whole Subaru engine rebuild, and they decked the block and heads and got it all together, and it was off enough that their intake and exhaust manifolds wouldn't line up. So I was like, oh shit.
Huh. Yeah, no,
that can always be an issue, but I think their stuff had been decked previously, at least a couple other times, so it was it had moved quite a bit.
Yeah, that shouldn't.
I don't know if I talked about this, but I actually did work in an automotive machine shop for a short period of time a few years back, and the guy went through it with me. You actually have to remove a pretty significant amount of material for things to start not lining up. Like, you always want to make sure that you've got, like, piston and valve clearances, but, like, the amount of compression that you're adding by taking 10,000ths off of a head, not actually significant. You're not bumping that compression up by, like, a half a point or anything insane. Like,
yeah.
No, and I think he was upsizing his head studs as well, which created more torque on the head, which affected it enough as well. And like I said, multiple times decking the heads, at least once or twice on the block. A lot of material had been removed, but
that'll fuck you up. No, for me,
that's always something that needs to like at least be considered. Like, okay, is enough material coming off where I need to change the head gasket size? Because a lot of people don't realize there are different thicknesses.
Nope.
I have a quick funny story about that. I knew a guy who did a real quick and dirty top end rebuild on his Jeep motor, and it was making a weird noise when he was done. And this guy's a professional mechanic, and he's fucking really good. But we all make mistakes, and this is barely even a mistake. He recognized immediately on the first drive that it was making a weird noise, and this was a Jeep that he personally owned that he was just trying to get back on the road as quick as he could. It was I think a Cherokee. I don't remember what it was exactly, but the piston was hitting the head, but by a measure of like 1,000ths. So it wasn't even damaging anything. He could just audibly hear it hitting the edge of the head on one cylinder.
Wow. Yeah, that's not supposed to happen.
It didn't even damage the motor.
That's crazy.
Just enough to be like, that does not sound right. I have to tear this back apart.
That's crazy. That is nuts.
I knew a guy in college who his family had an old International Scout that they were using for like a snowplow truck.
Those fucking rule.
And I think they took the engine apart once because the valve seat had popped out of the head. And they also found just a nail stuck into the head. Or maybe it was into the top of the piston. So like someone had dropped a nail down the intake and it had just embedded itself in the engine. It's like, maybe that's why it was misfiring a little bit.
Or maybe they just got really confused and thought that they had a nail head. Which is a late 50s, early 60s. I think Buick, or maybe it was Buick. Those are such fucking cool motors. They are so weird.
They look cool. I don't know a whole lot about them.
They were called nailheads because they had fairly small valves that were pretty high lift for the time.
Right. And I think they had 45 degrees of valve angle, so the valves were straight up and down, basically.
No,
or was that
the valve covers are straight up and down.
Oh, okay.
The reason for that was the push rods weren't oriented in the same way that you're used to in a V8, and I can't explain it. You would just have to look up a diagram, but it's almost like cantilevered.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think that's the right word, but they're super weird motors. I really want to put one in like an actual like hot rod one day, but like I think the 425 nailhead is known for like easily being able to produce 500 pound-feet of torque, but struggling to produce like 300 horsepower.
Yeah,
you're all about those tractor builds, man.
Dude, I love them. Like, I just want something that sounds disgusting at idle and will, like, fucking rip a house off its foundation if I need it to.
Nice. Yeah. Torque is fun.
Are all right, I don't remember where I left off exactly, but head gasket issues, whatever. We found a replacement. Got sent out, whatever. And just to be safe, I pushed back my tuning appointment to middle of September. But that's going to be the last pushback I can pretty much do because they're like, "Yep, this is the last day we've got until November." And I was like, "Okay, all right, no more setbacks." So if there's any more setbacks, I have to find another tuner, which will be super fun. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully everything's
Good luck with that.
yeah. I mean, in theory shouldn't be any other setbacks, and if that's the case, my shit'll be working in a few weeks, and it is much anticipated, and I'm gonna go ape shit, probably out on the street and just go fucking crazy. But well, after a break,
Break that shit in first. Break it in first.
Yep. I'm sorry, after a break-in. So, yep. That's going to be the boring part. But, yep. So that should be done soon, hopefully, and whatever. We'll see. But that's my main update is head gasket issues that were not my fault.
Yeah.
So,
I guess if you're feeling real vindictive, you could take that extra head gasket when you send it back and just like fold it up in an envelope.
No. I hope someone gets to use it, especially if there's a fucking because there's a supply chain shortage on Cometic head gaskets. So like, yeah. By the way, just want to throw it in there. Capitalism with that whole need to constantly grow and increase profits at all times, which led to lean inventories. How's it feeling now?
Yeah.
How's that lean inventory doing right now? Fucked up.
Yeah.
So that's capitalism.
Just in time shipping.
Yep.
I've experienced an abundance of that. We'll get to that when it's my turn.
Yeah, it's just
yeah.
These supply chain issues could have been largely avoided if people actually still kept fucking inventories, but they can't because you always have to make that money, and inventory costs money. So capitalism fails again. Anyway, so I just wanted to take that little pot shot there, but that's all I got. So I think Bryant, you're next. I think.
Yeah, so I've been on a little bit of an adventure. So I think I mentioned this a couple episodes back, but I moved, so I'm done moving. I'm not done unpacking, but moved everything mostly with the Subaru. My parents and my brother helped me a little bit, or brothers, I should say, both of them helped me move a little bit, and then I did have a U-Haul truck for part of it, so that was a bit of an adventure. I guess I don't think we really have time, but I could give the review of the Ford Transit van that I drove. The short version is it's like I don't know, late 90s Buick, but like 7 feet tall and 5,000 pounds or whatever. But I guess one good thing is the fuel leak that was happening on my Subaru clears up when it's like 85, 90 degrees outside.
Yay.
And everything expands a little bit. So I got like 25 miles per gallon on the last tank, even, hauling shit around in it. So that was nice. What was not so nice was my MR2 broke down in a sort of spectacular way.
Yeah.
I think it was on Tuesday. I was like, well, I don't have anything to move today, so I don't need to take the Subaru. I'll take the car that has air conditioning and gets good mileage, because it was hot out. It was like 95 or something. And on my way back home, on the highway, I'm coming up to the off-ramp for my new place. I feel some vibration going on. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. It must be just this like grooved pavement is a little bit rough right here. Or maybe I've got some, worn out bushings or something. And then I let off the throttle to slow down for the off-ramp. And it's like, oh, the vibration just went away. That's probably not good. That means it's something in the driveline. And then I'm like, all right, well, I should, park this when I get home and figure it out. So I get, to the off-ramp. I've got, a traffic light there. And I go to turn onto the main street. and bang, this big bang comes from the car, but the engine is still running. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? So I put on the hazards, get outside, look, and I don't know, maybe we can put the picture in the show notes or something, but there's some kind of oil all over the pavement and a bunch of bolts lying on the ground. I'm like, oh, that's not good. Maybe I should shut off the engine. And then I take another closer look, and the driver's side half shaft axle is lying on the ground. Wow. And and it had the bolts that hold the half shaft onto the transmission had sheared off. So I think what happened was that vibration was one of them coming loose and it getting a little bit unbalanced. And then the bang was the last couple that were holding on, shearing off. So
I honestly can't tell if you're talking about a car or my mental health.
Yeah. It's all holding on by a thread. So I was like, well, shoot, now I got to call like a tow truck and shit. And then like there's a homeless encampment like right off that off ramp, and some guys over there were like, hey, do you need help? And I'm like, actually, you know what? Yeah. If you push me over this little hill over here, I can coast the rest of the way back home. You know, and that's what I did. So I made it about a block away from my house, my new place, and was able to park it on the street. And then the other day, one of my coworkers came over and helped me flat tow it the rest of the way into the garage.
I love flat towing shit. It's so sketchy and dumb.
We snapped 2 ropes.
Gotta use chain, man.
I should have. If I had a chain, I would have used it. But we got it in there eventually. And that's where it's sitting. I haven't had time to look at it. But at least I have spare transmission and half shafts. So I think I just need the bolts, and I'll be good, hopefully.
Yeah, that
fingers crossed.
Very fortunate.
I don't have to replace the transmission.
Very fortunate that you're hoarding parts. That's good call. Yeah. When it works, it works.
Yeah. And and I also sold my moped this week to Sucker. I mean, a nice person. So I got close to asking price for it, which was less than I had in it. So, you know, it's not like I made any money on this thing. But yeah, I still have some spare engine parts. If anyone has a Vespa moped, let me know.
I was just going to point out that this would finally be where Bryant stops hawking his fucking moped on our podcast. But no, he's still got parts. All right, listeners, help us out. Someone please buy his parts. We don't want to hear it anymore.
I mean, at this point, some of it I'll give it away for free. I don't care anymore. Like, if you really want the rear end gear reduction and hub for a kinetic moped, you can have it. Like, I don't think anyone wants those. Yeah, I've got a front variator for a GY6 Chinese moped if anyone wants that. I've got a bunch of random shit. So
I don't know what any of that means. I'll take it.
All right, you pay shipping, it's yours.
Wait, that wasn't the deal.
All right, I think that's all I got for now. I'm sure I'll have other Project Car updates in the future, and Project House updates now.
We're not that podcast.
Yeah, you're gonna have to start another podcast now.
Yeah.
Ooh, maybe we could have beef with that one.
Yeah. Can I have beef with myself?
Yeah, let's start a separate podcast and just beef with each other.
That's not the worst.
Actually, I think I'm pretty close to just being the guy who has beef with everyone on a single podcast. So, yeah. So I guess it's my turn. This is, I think, our first episode since I started a new job where I'm working pretty crazy hours. But I have had this long-standing habit where I'm like, why would I pay $6 for this part that I could just make myself if I buy $2,000 worth of tools? It slows me down sometimes. But because I'm making more money at my new job and I have less free time, I've just decided, fuck it, I'm buying the parts that I need. So I have started putting my chopper together, which I don't really think I've talked about on here, but it's an 82 shovel head motor in a 49 panhead frame, like raked out, super like Easy Rider style, classic fucking chopper. Started putting that together. I've been making good progress on that. I tore the big block for my car down to like see how it looked on the inside. It's not the cleanest motor in the world, but it definitely is not ready for a rebuild. So I encountered a bunch of Connor problems with that one because I just tore that down and was like, it's fine, I'll order the rebuild kits and blah, blah, blah. And every fucking thing is back ordered. I had to like really shop around. I was even considering buying new heads for it, and when I found the heads I wanted, they were like, ready to ship in December. And I'm like, no, that's not what we're doing.
Oh man, I got a weird little tangent about that I forgot to mention. I went to order that transmission for my truck, and it's a 4x4 truck. So I ordered the transmission, and then I'm back on that website for some reason, just looking at it again, and in big red letters on top of the page, it says no Ford 4x4 transmissions available. And I was like, oh fuck, I just gave them a lot of money, and then they're not going to send me my transmission. So I called them in a panic and talked to somebody, and they're like, you got literally the last one we had. And we had to like track down a part for it that we didn't think we had. But the lady was super nice, and she was like, I made our shop manager search everywhere for this tail shaft, and we're going to get you your transmission. You got the last one. I was like, oh, thank fucking God. I was so scared for a minute.
Dude, yeah, I'm like very stingy with my money when I'm buying car parts. I try to just buy everything at swap meets and shit. But I needed a bunch of stuff that you were never going to... Like, I needed rebuild kits, intake bolts for an old Oldsmobile motor, like the kind of stuff that I'm not just really going to stumble across unless I wait, like, 10 years or something. So I ordered everything. Like, I ordered a nice gasket kit. That one wasn't really a problem. I had a whole valve train kit, like timing chain, lifters, springs, cam, everything, in my shopping cart for Summit, who, like, Summit loves my new job now because I'm just throwing money at them since I can't make any shit myself anymore. I had a kit in my cart, and I went to go check out and realized that the ship date for that one was mid-October. And I'm like, fuck no. Everything else was going to be here in the next week because I can drive to a Summit distribution center in 2 hours from my house.
Oh, that's very
So most
convenient.
things get here really quick. And this was going to ship mid-October. I found another cam, exact same kit, but the cam has 25 or 30 thousandths less lift.
That's unacceptable.
And it would ship...
Unacceptable.
Yeah, so instead of it being like a 520 lift cam, it's like... Oh, no, it's a little bit more than that. I went from a 520 lift cam to a 485 lift cam. And that was able to ship, like, next, like, I ordered it yesterday, so it should ship on Monday.
All right. Well, that's still a pretty high lift cam already. When in doubt, I go higher. So, like, why couldn't you find a fucking 60 lift cam?
I'm worried about the clearance for my valve guides.
Okay, that's fair.
Like, I have new springs, but you do have to make sure that your, like, valve guides have enough clearance, and, like, the heads that are on this motor are dog shit. They are literally the worst heads that Oldsmobile ever put on this motor.
Oh, okay. Fuck it then.
Yeah, so, like, I don't know how much of a boost in performance I'm going to get. That being said, this was the highest lift cam that I was not going to have to wait at least 8 weeks for.
Good call, then.
The other cam that I had in my basket was, I think, the highest lift cam of that line, which is basically, like, it's not really a towing cam, but it's a cam with a lot of emphasis on low end, like low RPM torque, which, as we are slowly establishing, is my jam. So I got all that. So I should start putting my motor together in the next, like, week. Still sorting out a few things. I might go with my Turbo 400, or I might build a 250 or I'm sorry, a 204R for that. I haven't really decided yet. I also bought a super sick lowrider bicycle for like $100, $125, and so I'm spending hundreds of dollars on painting equipment because I want to like metal flake this and just metal flake everything I own. Like I'm gonna buy stuff and I'm going to be the most filthy, crusty human being riding around in like show quality paint. It'll be great.
You should metal flake your microphone.
Dude, I know a guy who like he will get bored and paint random things in his house. His bathtub is metal flake and candy paint.
I can't tell if you're kidding or not.
Awesome.
Like he's got like an old school clawfoot tub that is metal flake and candy paint.
That is amazing. Oh my god, I love it.
I'm pretty sure, like, I cannot aspire to be him because I'm pretty sure that dude like doesn't sleep and he's one of those people that doesn't have all of the mental health issues, so he's just got energy throughout the day. Me, I'm like, it takes me like 3 hours to just start a 45-minute task. So,
yeah,
I don't have any high expectations about when anything's going to be done, but whatever. No progress on my van. My shop is basically just 4 quadrants of like one section I'm working on a motor, one section I'm working on a van, one section I'm working on a chopper, and the other section I'm working on a bicycle. I'm slowly starting to worry I'm ADD, but I think I'm actually just having like a low-key manic episode. So if anybody really wanted this podcast to turn into a therapy session, there it is for you. But yeah, that's me. Otherwise, I've just cleaned the ever-loving shit out of my shop and reorganized fucking everything. And also, like, working 12 to 14-hour days a lot. So that's pretty sick.
Woo.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yep, that's me. I'm done.
Okay, I guess probably time to get into our news stories. Although, might be time for a little short break. I don't know if anybody else is feeling a break. Breaking news. That's the part of the show we're at. We're at the breaking news part. Boop 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 boop. This is Cars and Comrades with your car news updates. Boop 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 boop. All right, enough of that. That was ridiculous, and I'll probably never do it again. Probably, we'll see.
Yeah, maybe we'll get some like real sound effects in here, or like a soundboard or something.
Well, if we get a soundboard,
that sounds like work.
I'm just gonna clip that and then put it on the soundboard. So that's just gonna be that noise every time.
I like that. So that's Maybe you'll hear it again. Maybe you won't. But anyway, welcome back after the break here. So our last recording kind of got really screwy. So we're back another week recording, and so the news is a little bit older, but whatever. It is what it is. We had technical difficulties, so we're back here with Bryant, Zach, and Connor, and no Brandon, because it's a different week, and he's got shit to do.
Yeah, I think he's on vacation doing something fun without us. So that bastard.
Yeah, can't make time for us.
How dare he enjoy himself?
We've got serious podcast business to do here. This is real important stuff.
So anyway, just to make things more clear, we're doing these stories, which about half of these stories we already sort of recorded kind of a week ago, but we're going to try and do it again. We're a sloppy podcast. Sorry, whatever. We do this shit for free. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have the memory of a goldfish, so it'll be fresh to me.
So you won't have to act surprised then.
No, it'll be legitimate. I'm like, oh shit, no way. I had no idea.
All right. Well, so now we know our surprise is genuine.
Yeah.
So starting us off, Bryant, you had a story. You kind of ridiculous, goofy cop story, which I think will be
Yeah,
fun.
this is a sort of local Colorado news story in the all cops are bastards sort of genre. This is from the Colorado Springs Gazette, which is generally speaking a right wing rag
Aren't they
because
all?
Colorado Springs and all that. But this is some actual journalism that they did. Author is Chris Osher. The headline is "Police Leave Disabled Colorado Woman with Nearly $1,600 Toll Bill After Using Her Stolen License Plate." So,
Oh, tell
the
me
long and
more.
short
How
of
did
it,
that happen?
yeah. So I know this is you've never heard this before, Connor. This is pretty insane, but actually, cops are assholes.
Huh? Who would have thought?
Yeah. So, a 52-year-old Westminster woman with back problems faces $1,592.72 in E470 toll charges because the president of the Colorado Fraternal Order of Police, who also headed the narcotics unit in the Longmont Police Department, used a stolen license plate that comes back as registered to her.
Okay, so this is going to be good when it's the president of the Fraternal Order of Police. Did I hear that right?
Yeah, so the fake
man.
cop union that's not a union because cops aren't workers
Yeah.
basically stole this woman's license plate, put it on their company car, and drove on the toll road and racked up a bunch of charges in this woman's name.
Which, by the way, how do you rack up $1,600 in tolls?
Yeah,
it was probably from some late fees and whatnot too. But just insane.
Yeah, and it's stopped this woman from being able to register her car. So she's having trouble driving to doctor's appointments.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
it's fucked up. So I mean, she's working with local government and police to try to get this resolved, but they are not being too helpful. Shocker.
Wow. So surprised.
Yeah. And basically, I think what happened was she had either left the it was something to do with selling a car, and the license plate ended up with someone else, and then it was at a police auction, and and I don't know, it was in something got stolen, and then it was seized by the Longmont Police Department, and then they took her license plate out of the impound lot and put it on their company car.
Yeah, I think I did read the article. It's about they made it sound like, oh, this is relatively common that cops will have license plates that are in evidence or impound, and they'll just take that license plate and put it on their car and whatever, nobody cares.
Yeah.
It's what?
It's this person got their car towed, so fuck them. I'm gonna steal money from them effectively.
And this is supposed to be law enforcement,
Right? Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, there's more to it than that. I mean, you can read the article. We'll put it in the show notes. But yeah, fuck this cop especially, and just cops in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure if that was a citizen who did that, they would be charged with a felony.
Yes.
Called defrauding 100%. The DMV.
Yes.
I think is what that falls under.
Oh, they'd find
obviously
there'd be 8 charges.
Happen.
No.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Fun. And so there's I'm assuming, Bryant, that there's no forthcoming charges for the officer.
I didn't see any. Hold on, let me open it up again. I just closed it. So, when contacted by the Gazette, Longmont City Manager Harold Dominguez and Longmont Deputy Police Chief Jeff Sater promised to fix the situation, which they said was an oversight by the city.
Just an oversight.
Oh, an oversight. An oversight, yeah. Fucking assholes. Oopsie.
Yeah.
Oops. Sorry.
Did a control F for charges, and the only thing that's coming up is like toll charges. So I don't see any. Let's see. No, nothing for criminal. I'm not finding anything that says the cops are, going to be held responsible for this.
Well, another day in America.
Yep.
I mean, they get away with literal murder, so
Right.
I don't know why anyone would expect them to have charges for, the simple crime of stealing $1,600. That's nothing.
Right. Yep. Fun stuff.
Wild. Well, on that note, we'll switch it over to some very rare good news. I think this might be the first time we're doing that. And it's probably not good news necessarily for everybody, but it's good news for me because I'm a Z fanboy. But the new Nissan Z has been finally released, sort of, or unveiled, I should say.
Yeah. So this is the production version, whereas there was a sort of a concept that they were hinting at before.
Yes, which, I mean, basically the concept was the car.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I mean, they're almost identical, which is fucking awesome. I mean, so we did finally get some, some details. Of course, it is called the Nissan Z. So it's just Z, which is kind of weird, and everybody's kind of like meh about that. I think this was a good opportunity to call it the Fairlady Z, as they have in Japan for a long time, but they did not take that opportunity. And everyone was speculating it was going to be called the 400Z, which would kind of just make sense. But no, they rebranded it as just Z.
That really confuses me as to why it would have been called the 400Z. Because next in line should have been the 390, right? Or since the 350, 370 was kind of a similar platform, and this is more of a shift away to a different design.
Yeah, so let me explain. Let me explain kind of what the thinking was. So throughout the entire lifetime of the Z, right, from the 240Z back in the day to the 280, the 300 ZX, you name it, the number has always been the engine displacement. So the 240Z had a 2.4 liter. 280Z had a 2.8 liter. The 300ZX, 3 liter. 350, 3.5, 370, 3.7. So those are on the VQ platform. The newest Z has a 3 liter engine again. So based on the old naming convention, they would go back to like 300Z or something.
Yeah.
But the thinking was that they were going to come out right around 400 horsepower. And so then this would just be 400Z because it's 400 horsepower. That was the thinking.
That makes so much more sense now. Okay.
Yeah. So so that's why people were calling it the 400Z. It just kind of made sense. They knew, that's about the power level they were going to be. And the new details are out, and that's precisely where it is. Unless it's underrated, which I hope it is. But as of now, it's claiming 400 horsepower.
Yeah. So this is sort of like an Xbox One scenario where they just wanted to start over rather than, going back in the numbers to 300, I guess. Or, making it divorced from the displacement and going to 400. Yeah. I mean, it makes a lot more sense than like how Mercedes has been doing their like model numbering scheme lately. Or was it Mercedes or BMW? One of them, where they used to, do it based off of engine displacement. So like, 330 was a 3 Series with a 3 liter engine.
Yeah.
But now the number is basically like, since they have everything like turbo or supercharged, it's like equivalent displacement, like this turbo V6 or turbo straight 6 is, equivalent to like a 4 or 5 liter or something like that, which I think is fucking dumb, but whatever.
That's dumb. Weird. I don't understand the naming conventions of those Euro brands anyway, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, I've kind of just ignored Euro cars. I mean, I think any modern European car is kind of like just built to be leased. Like, there's no
Yeah.
there's no
There's-
provision for like long-term ownership and maintenance. They're like disposable
Yeah.
luxury cars, but I don't know. I could see myself getting like an older BMW if I really wanted like a sports sedan or something, but
Yeah, I feel you there. The old ones at least made good drift cars. I can
yeah,
tell you that.
definitely.
But anyway, so reading from kind of an article from Car and Driver, which is entitled "The 400 horsepower 2023 Nissan Z puts the Toyota Supra on notice." So obviously, its main competitor is going to be the Toyota Supra, which we knew from the start. Nissan's NewZ features an enticing combination of a twin-turbo V6 engine, a 6-speed manual, and a $40,000 base price, which is pretty decent. Yeah, so the NewZ...
Music to my ears.
Yeah, same here.
That is a lot of car for not that much money.
Yeah. Now,
comparatively,
of course,
comparatively.
Yeah, of course, that's the that is the base model, which we now know does not come with the limited slip differential. So realistically, you want to get up there, but like I don't believe the price goes up that much for the next trim level. And there's really basically 2 trim levels. Anyway, the NewZ, it has no numbers in its name this time. Will cost about the same as the 2003 350Z, adjusted for inflation, of course. It rides on the same wheelbase as the 2020 370Z as well. So, pretty much, just like when the 350 came out initially, in terms of like price, performance, whatever, this is at that price level, which I think is pretty good. And of course, so it's like, on the same wheelbase as the 370Z, it has upped the horsepower to 400 horsepower from a twin turbo 3-liter V6, which is now on the VR platform. So, yes, which I think is the same platform as the GTR, but obviously this is not going to be hand built, and it's not the same, but it's, that's kind of where Nissan's trying to go. It's the same engine that's in their Q50 and Q60, just with whatever more power, a little bit. So
yeah, it's kind of like, Chevy has the Camaro and the Corvette. Nissan has the Z and the GTR.
Yeah, pretty much. So this little bit I did leave in my notes because it's talking nicely about the 350Z, and we all know that I like that. So we're going to go through it. When we first tested the 2003 Nissan 350Z, we heralded its unrivaled combination of price and performance, bringing 287 horsepower for less than $27,000. The reborn Z was an instant hit, reestablishing Nissan as a maker of serious sports cars. So now, 20 years later, we're feeling the same excitement for the next Z car, the 2023 Z. Factoring for inflation, its base price, which is about $40,000, is at the same as that of the 2003 350Z. So is the same basic layout with 2 seats, rear-wheel drive, and a 6-speed manual transmission. The difference being now you get 400 horsepower from a twin-turbo 3-liter V6. Which they make the note that's the kind of inflation we can get behind, which I'm with it.
And I think you even get the that same engine. It's on all the trim levels, right?
Yes. Yeah. There's no 4-cylinder. There's no anything else. It is the 3-liter V6. So that's actually pretty good. Notable difference from the Supra, actually.
Right.
Which has that 4-cylinder option, which I think is like a $40,000 car. Which, yeesh.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't know. I think the new Supra is kind of ugly. I mean, whatever. I don't really care that it's a BMW, whatever. But like, it's just not my kind of design.
That's funny. I do think the Supra looks good.
Okay.
I think it looks great. Personally, I mean, but when people say it's ugly, I'm like, yeah, I can understand that. I can get it, but like, I think it looks good. But I also think the Z looks better.
Oh, definitely.
Again,
Yeah.
personally.
No, I mean, it's definitely. I mean, they did a little retro styling on the new Z. Like, it's got a little bit of the 240 front end, maybe a little bit of 300 ZX in the rear.
Yep.
But yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Anyway, continuing, it is built on a much modified version of the current FM platform and riding on the same 100.4-inch wheelbase as the outgoing 370. The new Z uses the VR30 DDTT V6, which I don't know exactly what all those letters mean, but just for listeners who aren't familiar with Nissan, the way they number their engines is always the series are the first two letters, the displacement are the next two, then is something about like dual overhead cams would be D. The second D is some kind of reference to the variable valve timing, and then the TT would be twin turbo.
Gotcha.
So just for any listeners that don't know that, VR is the series, 30 is the displacement, D is the dual overhead cams, the other D is timing of some sort, and then TT is twin turbo.
I didn't see. Is it direct injection also? I wonder if that's what one of the D's is.
You know what? I think it probably is. I can't remember right now, but I think it was. And we do know it has some kind of variable valve timing because everything does now as well. So now it's the same V6 from the Infiniti Red Sport 400 models. So it's making 400 horsepower at 6,400 RPM and 350 pound-feet of torque from 1,600 to 5,200 RPM. The Sweet 3-liter features direct injection and variable valve timing, running up to 14.7 psi of boost, which is which is actually more than I would have expected from like the stock form. Manual models get a carbon fiber drive shaft, which sounds really cool, but they have used a carbon fiber drive shaft on the 350 and the 370 already. So,
okay.
Which is fucking cool as hell because like I have had mine out and like you can hold it in your hand and like twirl it. It's like, I'm not kidding, a drive shaft and you can just twirl it like it's nothing. It weighed like, I don't know, 8 to 10 pounds for a fucking drive shaft. Wow. It's wacky, man. Anyway, so it's going to still have a carbon fiber drive shaft. It's also going to have an XCD performance clutch and automated rev matching on downshifts, which meh. While Z's with the 9-speed automatic have aluminum paddle shifters and available launch control. So you only get the launch control in the automatics, although I'm sure, the first ones that get tunes will almost certainly have some kind of launch control on the manuals as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to see what these things look like when they're tuned. But it sounds pretty decent. Like they've got a good, flat torque curve, good power, and with those two turbos, it seems like there's room for plenty of upgrades. I mean, realistically, you take a turbo motor like this, and this is speculation, so not news. This is speculation from an idiot, but to think that you could take a turbo car in with making no changes and have it tuned, all it would take to get to 500 would be a 20% increase in power. That seems pretty doable with just basic tuning.
Yeah. And
yeah, if you move up to like ethanol or something like that, you could easily
ethanol would get you to
get closer to mid 500s, maybe even 600 on stock turbos.
I think even
ethanol is incredible at just dumping a bunch of power.
I think even on pump gas, to think you could unlock 20% from just like, I'm sure that the existing turbos could probably handle 18, 20 pounds if the stock form is already almost 15. I think that's conceivable. and you could hit 500 in pretty much no time. So that's exciting.
Very exciting.
Usually, the American cars are tough to beat in terms of straight line performance. I mean, there's just no way around that. But in theory, a little tuning and these things should be doing pretty well against your average, Camaros and Mustangs, and even some of the ones that have had some work done, which is, really amazing for a car that's really built for handling and stuff.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I was looking a little bit like at some of the shots of the chassis. Like it's got, I think, double wishbones up front and some kind of multi-link in the rear, which I think is a continuation off of the previous 370Z.
Yeah, it is. It is. They've always had a very good suspension.
Yeah. And then also, I mean, just looking at the numbers for the torque curve and everything, it makes me think that they probably put relatively small turbos on there to make it spool up quicker, kind of like a Fiesta ST, that kind of philosophy. So you could I'm sure someone will come out with a turbo kit to put bigger turbos on these and get big 100%. Numbers.
Yeah. With bigger turbos, you will make big power.
Yeah.
Very quickly. Which, I mean, that's one of the things. Like, it's one thing to put a twin turbo on a non-turbo car, very expensive. To get two new turbos for a car that already has turbos costs marginal. I mean, you're looking at max $2,000 to $3,000.
Yeah,
like to make enormous power. That's fucking awesome.
Now, I wonder if they're doing the thing like a lot of manufacturers are now, where they incorporate the manifold into the head, or the turbo and the manifold all as one deal. I mean, that might make it a little harder on the aftermarket if you have to like replace the entire manifold with the turbo exhaust housing.
I think so. Again, speculation, but they actually do have some. There's people who know more about this who have kind of looked into it a little bit, but it looks like it's going to be pretty moddable.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure Nissan understands that they're making a car to be moddable, and that's what people wanted, which is, of course, why they offered it with a manual, unlike the Supra.
Yeah.
So it does seem that they were aware of what they were doing. So it should be as simple as, a new exhaust manifold and whatnot.
Right.
If that's even needed. I mean,
well, and potentially also this, when people start modding these in a year or two, that will have a good secondhand market for used turbos for other people to put on their cars and, do weird shit with. So,
yeah, probably true.
So maybe, Connor, you can do a twin turbo kit on your engine in the near future.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a bit, but I would like to at some point.
Yeah.
Something like it. Anyway, so Anyway, getting back to the actual article here.
Sorry.
When we tested the Z's 4-seat Infinity cousin, the Q60 Red Sport 400, it ran from 0 to 60 in 4.4 seconds, and that car had a 7-speed automatic and all-wheel drive. The Z, a full foot shorter than the Q60 and presumably hundreds of pounds lighter, should hound the Toyota Supra 3-liter, which does 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds, even in its base sport trim. So they're speculating that the Z should be pretty close to that. I speculate that it's probably not going to be quite as fast, 0 to 60, but it should be faster in the quarter mile, would be my guess. So keeping the decision simple, there's really no standalone options among the 3 trims. Again, 3 quote-unquote 3 trims. The Z Sport is your entry-level model, but it's not a stripped-out husk built strictly to tout the low price point. The Z Sport gets the same powertrain as the other Zs, along with a customizable 12.3-inch TFT instrument display, so the screen instrument display. And it gets cloth seats with synthetic suede inserts and a full cadre of safety nannies and driver assistance gear that any self-respecting Z driver won't actually need, which I agree with. The Z Performance, which is the essentially the trim level that people are going to actually care about. The Z Performance models add some interior upgrades like heated leather seats and an 8-speaker Bose stereo system, 2 more than the sports audio setup. But most of the package contains actual performance gear, stiffer suspension, a limited slip differential, which is obviously the big thing, and beefier brakes. So up front, 4 piston calipers grip 14-inch rotors, while the 13.8-inch rear rotors are squeezed by 2 piston calipers. So this thing's got decent brakes, for sure. Which, I mean, is an upgrade over, like, I don't know what the 370s had, but the 350s could have some better braking. They were a little lacking in that. But, again, the big thing is going to be the limited slip differential. You kind of need that to have any real fun, I think, personally. But I do find it funny that, like, the interior upgrades are, like, heated leather seats, and it's like, yeah, they had that in 2003, too. That's pretty basic. So, heated leather seats, and then the 8-speaker Bose system, which I can't remember how many are in the 350Z, but like it seems pretty similar, I would think. It's probably like the same exact sound system from way back. Hopefully with some slightly better components, but I do like their speaker setup. Like they've the 350s and the 370s, they have like a sub. If you get the Bose, like it'll have like a 10-inch sub behind the driver's seat, which is pretty cool, I think. So,
yeah, that's not something you see a whole lot on factory cars, especially not until you get into like the luxury level stuff.
I always found it sweet. So, yeah, that's something that's pretty cool, I think.
I want to say on the Toyota MR2, there was an option for a subwoofer that was attached to the driver's seat, so it vibrates your butt with the music.
I mean, yeah, that's the cool shit. That's like what matters.
Yeah. I mean, mine did not come with that because it's pretty much a stripper model, but yeah. The article that I'm reading on the NewZ, it doesn't say anything about the curb weight. Do you have that number on yours?
I don't think I've seen it yet.
Okay, but I mean, it'll probably be
I don't
similar
know if
to the outgoing model.
Yeah, actually, it might. So with any luck, it'll be actually a little bit lighter. We at least know that they took weight into consideration because a lot of the suspension components are aluminum.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, to me, I was like, "Oh, that's good to know." I was real excited about that. I was like, "Yes, paying attention to the weight of all that unsprung weight and stuff." So, in theory, could be lighter. Or it could be about the same. I mean, there's certainly some aluminum suspension components in the 370s and 350s, I think, too. So it'll be close. It shouldn't be much heavier, I wouldn't think, at the very least.
I mean, 2 turbos and all of the accessory bits can add quite a lot of weight, but hopefully that's being offset.
I would hope
somewhere, whether suspension components or other other areas.
It's saying around a little bit more. So the 370Z was like around 3,400.
Yeah, 3,400-ish.
But yeah, I don't think anyone has real numbers for it yet.
Yeah, which I mean, those are still pretty. They're both like heavy and light. Like they're light compared to like the American cars, all of them pretty much. They're pretty light compared to a lot of cars that they like would compete with. They can be like heavy compared to a Miata.
Yeah.
Though, but that's to be expected.
I mean, and honestly, I think my Subaru weighs around 3,400 pounds. So
that's not too bad.
Yeah.
That's really funny. I was just looking up what my WRX hatchback weighs.
Oh, okay.
Google is telling me it's 3,208 pounds. Which is shocking to me because it has 5
those are
doors.
tiny little hatchbacks.
Sometimes it feels really small, and then I was driving behind a Miata the other day, and I was like, holy shit, I feel like it could run you over. So, it's all about perspective. I think like 3,400 pounds is, like you said, both heavy and light. It's light compared to a Charger, but I mean, most trucks are light compared to those things. So
I think those are over 5,000 pounds. I'm pretty sure.
That's fucking absurd. That's why they need 800 horsepower.
Yeah, and then there's the what's the Durango version with the Hellcat motor? I'm sure that weighs like 8,000 pounds or something.
Oh my god, yeah, I don't even want to think about it.
Oh god. They have the Jeep one, the Trackhawk.
Yeah.
Yep.
That one's got
just putting that motor and everything.
Got a Hellcat motor.
Got to put it in a Dart next.
And so
yeah.
You know,
they have it in a minivan. So whatever.
Keep it front wheel drive though.
I hope they do put it in a Dart. That would actually be sick. Yes, transverse mounted Hellcat motor.
You know, I've heard that I've heard people say that those transmissions they're using in those cars are pretty that automatic's actually pretty good. But I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, you wait 5-6 years of abuse in a fucking 700 horsepower ass minivan or SUV. Come on, what transmission's gonna hold up to that?
Right.
Those things, and it's Dodge. It's that those things are gonna be fucking blowing up in the next couple of years. You're gonna hear about them.
Yeah.
Oh man, it exploded when I tried to launch. It's like, yeah, that's 8,000 pounds trying to go with 800 horsepower. Yeah, that's what happens.
Yeah.
And in a minivan, no less. You know they're going to have all their little hellions in there with all their solder shit. The thing's going to weigh 12,000 pounds most of the time.
I mean, my mom had a 94 Dodge Caravan that the transmission blew up, which, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's why you never see those things anymore, is just all the transmissions exploded, you know, at 150,000 miles or whatever. But,
yeah.
I mean, maybe Chrysler has done some work in their transmission department in the last, decades, but who knows?
Here at Chrysler Motors Automotive Operations, research has been proceeding to develop a line of heavy-duty transmissions that establishes new standards for reliability, durability, and quality. With customer needs as our primary focus, work is proceeding on the crudely conceived idea of an instrument that would not only supply inverse reactive current for use in unilateral phase detractors, but would also be capable of automatically synchronizing cardinal gram meters. Such an instrument is the turbo encabulator.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't trust many Chrysler products myself. Anyway, so kind of getting back to the Z. The performance trim level replaces the sports 18-inch wheels with some lightweight 19-inch forged raised wheels with a staggered setup. So they've got, whatever tires. I'm not even going to mention it because they're just tires. They're going to be replaced. I don't care. But they've got 255s up front and 275s in the rear, which on 19s, like, that thing should grip right up. It shouldn't have too much trouble spinning the tires, but like a 19-inch wheel, 275 millimeter width that's a beefy fucking wheel.
Yeah.
Besides the unique wheels and red painted brake calipers, the performance trim is visually distinguished by front and rear spoilers and dual exhaust, and perhaps distinguished by its more boisterous muffler, although we haven't heard it yet, so we don't know. The automatic's launch control function is also restricted to performance models. So, whatever. I don't know why even fuck with it, but whatever. It is what it is. The performance trim is going to be the one that anyone cares about, really. Now, above performance, and essentially serving as a launch edition, the Proto spec is the Z Performance wearing the color scheme of the Z Proto car, which was the yellow concept. And, I mean, it's yellow paint, black roof, bronze-colored wheels, and yellow brake calipers. So, it's going to be
So no performance difference?
No, none.
Just higher price and different paint.
Higher price. Well, so here's the other thing. They're only going to build 240 proto specs.
Okay.
So they're going to be limited collector cars, essentially. which whatever. It's like
Yeah, so not a trim level, really.
exactly.
At the end of the day.
Everyone's calling it a trim level, and you're like, no, there's 240 of them. That's not a trim level. Okay, that's that's a special edition for collectors, rich collectors, I assume. So, in another reference to the 240Z, the interior center stack features 3 analog gauges set in a pod angled towards the driver. Now this gets a little bit wonky. One is for boost, which makes sense. One is a voltmeter, and the third is a sort of tachometer for the turbochargers.
Huh.
Which is, that's very weird.
So it's got a speed sensor in the turbos.
Yeah.
Interesting. I haven't seen that before. I wonder if they're just...
Me neither.
If they're like inferring that from other data, or if they actually have a sensor in the turbo.
Yeah, I don't know, but I can't imagine why the fuck you would ever need that.
Yeah.
That it's not common because it seems like a useless thing to have.
I don't know.
Yeah. Did they just run out of things that they wanted to tell you about?
Definitely
Let's
not.
put a sensor on something.
Well, so here's what I can tell you. Both the 350 and the 370 have the same setup of 3 gauges angled towards the driver. So again, they're like, oh, it's a reference to the 240Z, and it's like, well, it's a reference to the 350 and the 370 as well. But more recently, both the 350 and the 370 have one of those gauges is switchable between 6 to 10 different readouts. So like mine will show my fuel mileage, time, speed, distance clock, a rev limit, my speed. I can have it show like in a digital format. So like you can switch between all these different things, tire pressure, whatever. And this is just tachometer for the turbos because everybody needs that. So
I've never even heard of that being a gauge on anything else ever in my entire life.
Yeah. I've never.
I honestly don't think you could find an aftermarket gauge for that.
That's just to rev it up and impress your friends. Oh, look, it's going 10,000 RPM right now. Look at that.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty slow for a turbo.
100,000 RPM. I was off by a factor there.
Very good.
Well, and so I've never heard of anything like it. Who knows? Maybe as people learn to read these things, maybe it does become useful. I don't know. I've never seen it before.
I would have thought they would have gone with like air fuel ratio or mileage or anything else.
Useful stuff.
Water temp.
Useful stuff.
Well, they said the main display is programmable, right? Isn't that what the article said previously?
No, well, so that's just whatever their display is for the instrument display on. It's electronic, so I don't know if you could probably make some changes there, but this is for the 3 gauges that sit on the top of the dash in the center.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, assuming that you could put whatever you want in the center display, I don't know. You could put any of those other, AFR or mileage or anything like that in the center display.
I don't know.
So I guess you're not really losing out on anything?
No, I don't think you can. I don't think you can. I mean, look, maybe.
What the fuck is the point? I don't understand.
No, me neither.
There'll probably be some aftermarket thing that puts some relevant information in there, possibly. But
yeah, I don't know. It does.
So.
It kind of tries to explain it a little bit. So it says, displaying measured turbine speed, the turbo tach will let the driver know whether the turbos are just loafing at a steady 220,000 RPM or approaching their 240,000 RPM maximum. Again, don't know why you would need to know that. And then it says, other callouts to pass Zs include the taillights, which look just like the Z32 300ZX, and basic long hood short deck proportions. Just as in the 1990s, the Supra will be the primary target when the Z goes on sale next spring. But this Z isn't a shameless retro rehash or a refresh disguised as a new model. What it looks like is a deft melding of the contemporary 370Z's affordability with the GTR's ferocious turbocharged performance. At this point, the only thing we're not crazy about is the overly minimalist name. We know that Nissan is trying to look forward, not back, but 300ZX Turbo has an awfully nice ring to it. Which I agree. That probably would have been... I have no problem with the numbers going backwards. They didn't have to change it, in my opinion, but whatever. But... yeah, so weird turbo tach is kind of the weirdest thing about it, but should be good power, decent performance, relatively okay weight. Which kind of dovetailing from that, I did find another article which I thought was kind of interesting from Road and Track. The Nissan Z proves you should just build the concept. Which, yeah, I was like, okay, I really haven't like heard this before, but yeah, I kind of am one to agree. So it says, the Proto Z was a hit, Nissan built it, simple as that. So the writer kind of starts off, I've never cared for concept cars. The automaker calls up its best designers and gives them freedom to dream. Then it shows off a car it could only build in a different world. But our world is gated by regulations, manufacturing concerns, and cost cutting, aka capitalism. So by the time the concept car leaves the factory, the production version is closer to a turd with mirrors than it is to a concept. And I mean, we've all seen that. Like, pretty much every cool concept, you're just like, it comes out and you're like, wow, why did you spend all that time on a concept if you were going to, like, not do that? Seems like a waste.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I've seen some really dumb concept cars where they're like, had no real plans on actually manufacturing this. It was just an exercise or whatever. And, like, if you go back to our nuclear powered vehicles episode, there's a shit ton of those concept cars that they were like, we're going to make a nuclear powered flying car and it's going to, do your laundry for you while you drive or whatever. I don't know. I mean, that wasn't one of them, but there's just all kinds of dumb shit like that.
Well, there's dumb shit.
But yeah, like generally speaking,
why waste the time? Like they're constantly cutting costs and like, oh, we got to reduce and got to lay people off. And you're like, maybe just don't make stupid shit that you have no plans of building. Like, what are you doing?
Right.
But they never think of that.
Yeah. Oh, we got to make a convertible that seats 7,
Even though there's no market for it. Like,
right.
Oh, but we got to lay off these people, or we can't pay a living wage to these folks. And it's like, what the fuck? Better bust that union so we can keep making stupid concept cars. So when the Nissan Z Proto debuted last year, it looked sensational. A thoughtful piece of design that nodded to a glorious past. Equipped with a 6-speed manual and a twin-turbo V6, the Z Proto was everything we wanted from a new Z. So Nissan gave it to us. The result is stunning. It looks incredible. It's built on an engaging chassis and should start around $40,000. That's less expensive than the 4-cylinder Supra, with more power than the 6-cylinder Supra. It's hard to remember the last time a product... Oh, excuse me. It's hard to remember the last product to stick the landing like this. Which, I mean, it's true. I remember when the Supra first came out. I mean, it was cool, right? It was, like, vaguely cool at least. But there was a lot of shit talking online. People were like, this kind of blows. There's no manual. The power's lacking. Which, of course, they upped after the first year. So, first year came out at 335 horsepower. And then the very next year, they started out with 382 in the V6. So, like, if you bought the first year, you got fucked. I think they offer. I mean, I think
they offered. Generally speaking, it's not that great to buy the first model year of any car because they're usually working out all the kinks.
Yeah.
Like, I think the first year of the new Miata, like, they had transmission problems or whatever. So, like, maybe wait a year or two if you're going to buy a brand new.
Yeah,
one.
that's actually that is good advice, which we should bring up on future episodes. Never buy the first model year, even used. Like, don't buy that first model year. Which I have the first model year of the 350Z, and let me tell you, they used the stamp steel fucking clutch fork, and it bends.
Oh
yeah. So for the last like 3 or 4 years, I've been sloppy with my shifting because it's just like, I don't know. I never know where the clutch is going to actually engage. It's more of a suggestion. Yeah, it's like you can't be spot on because it literally flexes. And like,
oh, that's terrifying.
You get sort of used to it, but like that on top of the first 2 years of the 350Z, like the synchro is fucking ground out in third gear and whatnot. So like shifting takes forever. So like I've been driving around for like a few years now where it's like it takes a solid 2 seconds to do a gear shift, and then I have to calculate, like I have to rev up the flywheel and then try and grab with a clutch fork that bends. Pretty rough.
Wow. Is there a way to retrofit the newer ones?
There is, and I tried to do something, and for whatever reason, like it couldn't fit because they also changed the pivot ball or something. Like so, like I got like some weird conversion kit, which we were up against the time clock, whatever, and like for whatever reason, there was one piece that we couldn't fuck with, and we're just like, all right, well, fuck it, I just have to put it back in the way it was. The 2004, so the next model year, they did put in a real cast steel clutch fork after that. But yeah, so that's kind of the evidence there. Don't buy that first model year if you can avoid it. They are working out kinks.
Yeah, and I've and I've got the second year. Well, I guess I've got the first year of the Subaru. I mean, they've been making the WRX for a couple years after that, before that. I mean, and then I've got the second year of the MR2 in the US, and I kind of wish I had an 87, 88, 89, because I did make changes in 87, like a little bit bigger brakes, a couple different things with the suspension.
Yeah.
They changed the interior around a little bit. They changed the like on the Japanese model, the parking brake is away from you. In the US model, it's right next to you.
Yeah.
So like they changed that over so it's more suited for the US market in the later model years.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
So anyone listening to this, who's in the market for a Z, the last year of the 370Z should have all them kinks worked the fuck out.
Yeah.
So, anyway, Nissan Senior Vice President for Global Design, Alfonso Albesa. I don't know if I probably butchered that, but whatever. Yeah,
no, that was perfect.
Thanks for confirming.
I don't know.
Said that the production design was finalized before the proto. Okay, so they had the production car was already designed and ready before the proto even came out. So, very interesting way to do it. Tiny details such as the side markers and materials choices changed, but the differences are nearly imperceptible. In fact, they said a gray production Z was visible in the background of a video they did on the Z Proto. So you could have actually seen the street car long before it debuted. Again, you wouldn't know the fucking difference because it's the same car. So while there is a launch edition Proto Z in the yellow color with bronze wheels and is limited to 240 cars, the yellow paint is also still available as a normal color. So thankfully, you can still get it in that cool-ass, yellow color with the black top. Which I think most of the colors actually come with the black top. There's a few that don't. They have like a maroon color that I don't think does. So that's like all maroon. Which I'm glad they have a maroon because maroon Zs are something special.
I remember when the burnt orange was like the big deal for the 350Z right after it came out. I actually have a model.
Yeah, there's not too many of
like
those.
pearlescent paint. Those are pretty cool.
Yeah. I always love that color, and I don't think I've ever seen one on the road. Maybe once, but it's so rare. That the burnt orange, whatever you want to call that color, is just it looks so cool.
No, I agree.
I love that color.
Anyway, so the last time an automaker pulled off such a seamless transition from concept to production, the Lexus LC 500 was born. Thank God Brandon's not on this part of the episode. It's a car that years later still carries more presence than anything else you can buy for 5 figures. So that is quite expensive. Sales have not been phenomenal, but among enthusiasts, the car is already a legend, I guess. I don't know. Rich enthusiasts, I suppose.
Yeah, I think those only come with an automatic, though, if I remember.
Yeah,
correctly.
I don't think that's not like a much of a performance car per se. sort of a.
I'm sure it's fast, but I mean,
It's
for what you're paying for
it's
it.
fast for like the same way a Mercedes is fast. You know what I mean?
I mean, they do look interesting. I'll say that.
They were a wonky looking car. Pretty cool.
And Connor, you kind
But,
of cut
yeah.
out for me for a second. Are you guys talking about the LFA?
No. The
Oh.
LC 500 is like
LC 500. Okay.
yeah, it's a really long like kind of executive VIP type car.
Personal luxury coupe sort of deal.
Yeah. They're
Oh.
they look cooler than it sounds. Trust me, they do look cooler than it sounds. I would never own one.
I'm looking at them.
Oh, okay, and you're making that face.
It ain't my style.
Yeah, not my style, but
Yeah.
it's interesting.
For the listeners who can't see my face, imagine smelling a fart and then making that face. That's the face I'm making. I mean, it's definitely unique.
Yeah.
I fucking hate it, but it is unique.
Okay, and there you go. It's unique. So other companies aren't so direct. The Chevy Volt concept was sleek, aggressive, and interesting. It promised a desirable future with its next-gen plug-in hybrid power plant. By the time it arrived, though, it was an egg-shaped hatch that inspired little desire. Still a solid car. The Volt never became a true hit, which...
I mean, honestly, I kind of like the Volt. I've been thinking of buying one if I wanted a plug-in hybrid commuter car.
Sure, but not for its looks.
I mean, they're not too ugly for what it is. Like they're better looking than a Prius, I would say.
But I don't know if I agree to that. I think I would give the Prius the slight win on that. I think I'd say the Prius looks a little bit more interesting. Ugly for sure, but the Volt is pretty damn ugly, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. To each his own, I guess.
It's a useless personal preference that really doesn't matter here.
Yeah.
So Mercedes kind of did the same thing. Clearly didn't learn from GM. The original Vision EQS had aero-friendly bodies stretched into dramatic futuristic design. But that was lost in translation. The production EQS, which I guess is a real car, eschews the athletic lines of the concept for a stubby, rounded profile. Perhaps the tech and quality will sell it, but the instant appeal of the concept's design is long gone. So kind of just in closing here, the automotive history is filled with examples of automakers flubbing the jump from poster to production. The NewZ stands among a crowd of legends for bucking that trend, all because Nissan never overpromised, only overdelivered. And after a decade of bland CVTs and a lineup aimed at fleet sales, it's good to see Nissan coming back around. After all, there's more to life than palatable lease deals. So I kind of just included this article just because I think it's worth discussing like all this wasted time on the stupid concepts that never come to production, and even with the Supra, they had that FT1 concept, which was fucking wild looking. It was crazy. I didn't exactly like it, but it was certainly very different than the Toyota Supra we got. You know what I mean? And so it's like, why did you spend all this time, designing and building this FT1 concept, promoting the hell out of it, bringing it to auto shows, and then releasing a Supra that looks nothing like it? Like, what was the point?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at pictures of it. It's not really my kind of styling on that concept, but I don't know, it looks kind of like a Le Mans car or something.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool in that regard.
Well, yeah, and so it's like these car companies consistently, I don't know, they have marketing departments that apparently haven't figured this out yet somehow, but, an idiot like me can figure it out. They make these concepts that and they'll get people sort of excited, but then they make a production car that's nothing like it in any respect, and then, people shit on it. It's like, well, okay, kind of could have avoided that, don't you think? Like, if they had put out a concept that was very close to what this Toyota Supra ended up being, I think it would have gone over probably a lot better. And Nissan kind of proves that.
I mean, I wonder how much of it...
I wonder how much of it is like, well, here's kind of what we were thinking, but we got to make it fit onto this BMW chassis that we're using. I mean, kind of like I've been to the Henry Ford Museum in Dearborn, Michigan, a couple times, and they have the what's it called, the Mustang concept that they first came out with. I guess it would have been early '60s, and that thing is fucking cool looking. It's like, I don't know, somewhere. It's like if a Fiat X19 was made, 10, 20 years before it was in real life. And it had like a V4 engine or something. But anyways, they basically just like took some styling cues from that and like, okay, how can we put this on a Falcon chassis, which was, the first, generation of the Mustang was just a cool looking Falcon, basically, with a V8.
Yeah.
And a few other things. So like, I wonder, like, I'm sure that is a lot of what these concept cars are normally.
Oh yeah, sure.
But like, it is kind of cool that, Nissan's doing something a little bit different with this one.
Well, yeah. And it just kind of goes to show that like, maybe that's what they should do, is put out a concept that's already practical enough that like they've already worked through, like, oh, it's going to ride on this chassis, so like let's build something that we could conceivably put on that chassis. You know what I mean?
Right.
Something that looks like a production car, because they spent all the money promoting the concept and everything, and then Nissan just unveiled, and it's like, hey, guess what? The concept that we spent all this time promoting is the car. Come buy it. And now people are like, yeah, I want to buy that. Like, it's not like, I feel like with a lot of concept cars, it's like they're marketing for one car that doesn't and will never exist, and then they have to start marketing all over again for the production vehicle, and it's like, seems like a lot of wasted effort.
Yeah.
So anyway, that kind of does it for me on the Z. So let's move on to our next favorite topic, Tesla and Elon Musk. Of course.
We should really, if we're going to do like musical drops or whatever sound clips in the future, we should have one for the Tesla hate sector or whatever we're calling this.
Yeah, we probably should have. I could probably add that in post. Maybe I will. I don't know what it'll sound
I don't know
like.
what that would sound like.
Yeah, me neither. We'll have to think about it. Well, yeah.
But,
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Anyway, sorry. So, Tesla has applied to sell electricity in Texas, according to Business Insider. Which, naturally, they sell cars and flamethrowers and tequila and spaceships, I guess.
And robots, apparently.
Oh, and robots.
That are actually just a dude in a costume.
Oh, yeah, that was something. Just, you're like, oh, I'm going to have this in a year. And it's like, dude, come out in a year or whatever when you have it built. Don't just bring out a person in a costume, dude. Like, that was weird.
Yeah. Meanwhile, that Cybertruck, that's delayed again.
Yeah. Shocker. Big surprise.
A whole robot's going to be here in a year, but I can't get you guys a truck.
Yeah.
Maybe
was announced. How many years ago now?
2, 3, something. I don't know.
Maybe the Cybertruck's being delayed because of Elon Musk had this new idea for the robot, and so he's diverted resources to that. I feel like, so like Elon Musk does seem kind of like, if you give a fucking rich guy who thinks he's a super genius, but he's really just like a rich guy with ADHD, and you just like give him a company which he gets to have dictatorial control over, it's kind of what looks like what Tesla is, doesn't it? Or his various companies. I mean, oh, I'm working on this. Oh, look at this. Oh, I'm going to do this now. And it's like, dude, just make a fucking car. Oh my God.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, as someone who's a little bit ADD and kind of stupid, I would probably run a car company just as poorly as him. But it is kind of fun to shit on him, I mean, he's the one actually doing it.
No, he's an asshole. Me. So, yeah, we get to shit on him. I think we, at the very least, would also probably try and know ourselves and be like, we should distribute some decision-making power to the workers.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
otherwise it's going to be my ADHD project. Like, you know, yeah.
Yeah. See the previous discussion episode on our, fantasy car. What is it? Fantasy car company, something like that. I forget what we called it. For all of my dumb ideas.
I thought they were great ideas, so that's.
Oh, thank you.
I think I missed that one, which bums me out. I really wanted to be on that one.
Oh,
well maybe we'll
that sometime.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Start thinking of your decisions of what you would do.
Oh man, I already have so many.
Yeah,
Perfect.
listeners, write in with your ideas too.
Yeah,
we'll read them.
Yes,
even if they're really stupid.
Almost especially if they're really stupid.
Exactly. Yeah.
The stupider
if you've been
the
listening
better.
to this show, you know what we're looking for.
I'm going to make a high-tech electric car company that doesn't use good tech.
Well, that
I'm
already
gonna call
exists. That's not original.
Yeah.
I'm going to call it
Edison.
Edison.
Yeah, there
you go.
Enough about Edison, the fictional car company. Back to
I'm gonna name a car company after Tycho Brahe, and it's just gonna be a drunk moose that you have to ride around on.
Okay, wait, hold on. Who is that?
He was an astronomer like in the Middle Ages who was also like a aristocrat and had a pet moose that got drunk at parties.
This sounds awesome. I am all for this.
Yeah. I mean, he was a shitty person to like his vassals or serfs or peasants or whatever. But that it is kind of interesting, like how the parallels of like if you give some asshole a bunch of money, he's going to do dumb shit and occasionally maybe do some science.
Yeah,
that was kind of like what the Renaissance was all about. So like this guy would like just throw rager parties and like get in duels and got his nose cut off at one point. Yeah.
Wow.
Fun stuff.
Human history.
Tycho
man.
Brahe, look him up.
Human history.
Yeah.
Something.
Sorry to go off on a tangent there.
It is what it is. Our show is mostly based around tangents.
Yeah.
Tesla applied with a Texas agency to sell electricity on the retail market in the state. So it would actually do this through a new subsidiary, Tesla Energy Ventures. Of course, CEO Elon Musk and his companies have grown their presence in Texas in recent months, most notably because he moved there, which, conservatives love to be like, oh, he left the liberal state, and now he's in Texas. And it's like, okay, all right, yes, we heard. The idiot did the idiot thing, we know. So Elon Musk just moved to Texas. Now he wants to sell electricity to people in the Lone Star State. As Texas Monthly reported on Thursday, which this article is a little bit old now, so, reported at some point, Texas applied with the Public Utility Commissioner of Texas earlier in August to sell power on the retail market through a new subsidiary dubbed Tesla Energy Ventures. And the magazine reports that Tesla could sell energy directly to the state's deregulated electricity grid, which is called ERCOT, E-R-C-O-T. Texas is the only state with its own power grid that doesn't share energy with neighboring states. So, as we all remember, when it snowed in Texas, the power went out and no one could help them because they have their own power grid. And then the power also went out when it got too hot in Texas because their power grid was deregulated and it's run for profit. And, it has the natural outcome that we would expect. And now Elon Musk is going to get involved. Can't wait.
This can only be good. There's no way he's going to make it worse.
Yeah, definitely no way that's going to happen. So the move could let Texans whose homes are outfitted with solar panels share power with the state's electrical grid. Which, side note, I thought that, that was the whole selling point of solar panels anyway, was that, if you don't use the power, you sell it back to the grid. I thought that was, kind of the whole thing. So maybe that's not how it works.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually looking into this myself, and different states have different regulations. Like, I saw this video of this guy in Utah, I believe, and basically, like, you give basically you get like 10% of, or the utility takes 10%, so they give you like 90% of the value of the energy that you produce. So it's like, it's not, and they do it off of the lower rate, because like there's different rates for like peak hours,
Sure,
and
yeah.
non-peak hours. So they're they're getting the better end of the deal. The utility is usually,
Which, I mean, is
but you
fine. Really, it's like, yeah, that's fine. I'm getting power from the sun. Like, fine.
right.
Um,
And I want to say Florida actually made some kind of law to protect the utility companies, where like you're not allowed to sell power back, because of course Florida is a right-wing hellhole.
yeah.
Which
is weird,
I'm
'cause
not
it is, like,
100% sure if that's true.
It's actually like, it's funny because Florida is like kind of a purple state in terms of like the people living there, but like they just have the worst right wing fucking like government, because the system is broken, or well, working as intended, and as intended means right wing.
Yeah, I was wrong. I think they do allow you to sell your power back to the utility, but the utility lobbies are trying to squash that. They're trying to change the law. So that was Florida. I think there's at least 3 states where you're not allowed to sell power back to the grid, but I don't know what those states are.
Yeah, that's I don't know. That sucks. Again, I thought that was kind of like the whole thing, is that would help us not use as much like coal and natural gas and shit like that if some of that power was generated from people's homes. So as the outlet noted, that could even allow those homes to operate as their own power plant. I mean, duh. Connected via the state's grid. So, like, yeah, duh. That note seems like it was not necessary. So, according to the filing, Tesla could leverage its network of solar panel customers in the state to build a user base, marketing to them through the mobile app and website. All very weird. Federal energy data shows that Texans have installed more than 1 gigawatt of personal solar panels to date, per the report. The commission will decide on the application's approval or disapproval in November. So, I don't know. It seems like there's a lot of complicated, weird stuff with this. So, like, there's details that I'm sure will be out later. But the new initiative would follow Tesla's already reported move to build 2 giant mega batteries in Texas, which I didn't know they were doing until, this story came up. So one near Austin, close to the Gigafactory site that's still under construction, and another near Houston, as Bloomberg reported in March. So these like mega batteries, I really didn't know were a thing, but that's kind of the next like step in, especially with like solar and wind power, being able to actually store energy to kind of go out to people's homes, whereas like what we have now, essentially like the power is generated and then it just goes out to the grid pretty much immediately, and then they like just either do or don't produce, or they change how much they're producing, but this would allow some amount of energy storage.
Yeah, and like I don't know, I think the whole energy storage thing is a little bit suspect. I definitely want, I think, renewable energy is the way to go in the future, but like there's a lot of problems with the whole energy storage thing that they haven't worked out yet. Like I know in like if you're in a hilly area or a mountainous area, you can do like pumped hydro storage that's a lot more efficient and cost effective than like battery storage, and you don't have to like mine lithium or whatever. But like that's basically where you pump water up into a reservoir and then let it flow through a turbine downhill when you need the power. There's other people have tested things where you have just like a real heavy rail car on a slope, and it goes up and down, a railroad basically, and uses the gravity as the storage medium there. But like, I am a little bit suspect of this whole push towards, let's just put a shit ton of batteries into the grid. Like, I don't know if that's a long-term solution, but
Well, so I mean, initially, my initial thoughts would be that was redundant. My initial thoughts on it would be that it seems like kind of a logical solution to our power needs. There's definitely kinks that need to be worked out, though. Like big
Right.
kinks. Like I'm fine with, hey, batteries store power. We need to store power. Cool. That seems like a natural solution to me. But doing it safely and effectively, kind of a different story.
yeah. And if we can get a little speculative here, I think.
Well, we never.
I want to say it was Corey. I want to say it was Cory Doctorow who was talking about, like, in sort of a post-capitalist society, we could have, production and work that revolves around like when power is available. So it's like you go to the factory or the office or whatever and do your job while there's while the sun is shining or there's wind or whatever energy production method we have, and then if it gets cloudy, you just take a break and go home or whatever.
I like the sound of that.
Like that.
I am moving to Seattle.
Yeah, but also like a lot of these kind of problems of like demand and supply of energy would be solved if like the grid was more interconnected and you didn't have this dumb shit in Texas where it's like all privatized and deregulated and separated from the national grid. Like,
so if there was less capitalism involved.
Yes, I mean, and just more interconnectedness.
Sure,
if that's a word. Yeah.
So anyway, article goes on to point out, obviously Texas still reeling from brutal wave of power outages caused from both cold and hot weather. People, more than 100 people died, and millions of Texans were left without power for days in the bitter cold. Since then, some electricity suppliers have left the market, which seems like the opposite of the thing you would want to happen. And 13 new ones have applied with the PUC to sell power in Texas, the commission told Texas Monthly. So Elon Musk is just one of those. As for Musk, he said last year that he's moving to Texas, and both his Boring Company and Tesla have a large presence there. So Elon Musk will save us from, problems in Texas. Yay! I'm glad I don't live there. Which,
oh yeah, no, there's all kinds of shit going on in Texas right now. Like I was listening to Pod Damn America podcast, and Jake Flores, one of the hosts, was on tour through Texas. They, I guess, passed a law that if a venue tries to mandate that people wear masks inside, they can get their liquor license revoked.
Jesus.
So, yeah.
My God.
I mean, on top of everything else that's in the news, like with abortion and everything, it's a fucked place.
Yeah. I mean, even outside of their politics, which I'm sure at this point we probably do have some listeners in Texas. If you don't want to hear me trash talk your state, you should turn off the episode now. Maybe skip ahead a few minutes.
I mean, I think we've trash talked Texas in a couple other episodes too.
Yeah, but I've never been aware of it. Like, I've never thought about it. I fucking hate Texas. I've driven through it so many times, especially when I drove over the road. It is the most boring landscape I can imagine. There's a few spots that are cool. They're all on the western part of the state. So around El Paso is kind of cool. And the rest is awful. It's boring. There's fucking nothing there. Everything's a highway. Their highway system fucking blows. Yeah, the landscape's awful. It's nothing but strip malls. Texas is just strip malls. That's what it is.
And frontage roads.
Oh my God.
There's like highways and frontage roads, just like
Yes.
extending outward, widening constantly.
It's so crazy. They're, everything about it. I'm just like, oh my God, it was the most boring place I ever went. I had to drive through it a whole lot. So I've spent many, many hours driving through Texas, and it is just the fucking worst. Hate it. Hated every minute of it. Although, and weirdly enough, I don't know if there's only one or what. I think they just have abandoned ass highways there that are just like straight up not used. I stumbled upon one when I was like going for a hike around a truck stop in Laredo, Texas, which is like a border town. And I stumbled on like just a spooky overgrown highway that I was like, what? I like walked through this like construction zone, whatever. I'm like, I'm not supposed to be back here, but whatever. And then next thing I know, I'm like, oh, this is weird. This is like an old highway with, just clearly not in use. And it just goes on for miles and miles. And I was like, wow, very weird place. So yeah. Texas, very, very strange.
Also, Whataburger, mediocre.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. They're nothing special there. Man, Texas sucks. In every way.
I got a real hot take here. I don't think In-N-Out is any better.
It's definitely
not that great.
It's definitely not.
Yeah.
People talk about it like it's the best fucking thing. It's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, for the Colorado listeners, I think Good Times is pretty good burger place.
Haven't
been
there.
Probably on par with In-N-Out or Whataburger.
Okay, well, you can't say it's pretty.
I think Good Times is way better.
Yeah, you can't be like, this one's
Way
good.
better.
These are kind of shitty and like kind of suck, but like they're about the same. No.
Well, okay, I'm saying at least on par. Like, I mean, I if there was all three next to each other, I would probably go to Good Times.
There you go. Okay.
But
sure.
don't get
For sure.
don't get the guacamole though at Good Times. That's
Oh,
not.
no.
Yeah. Really, any fast food place.
Do try their frozen custard though.
Yeah. And the wild
The
fries.
frozen custard is awesome. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Except they charge like 35 cents per packet of wild sauce, which is fucking bullshit. Sauce should be free.
Yeah.
It upsets me every time I
Yeah.
go there, but that's a different
Yeah,
podcast.
that's bullshit. No, I'm with you. Well, okay. Aside from
Can you tell I'm hungry?
aside from our little tangent here on local fast food chains, so speaking of Tesla batteries, Tesla Megapack fire highlights issues to be solved for utility big batteries.
Yeah.
Yep. So naturally, that's coming. This was published in early August, so somewhat late news, but whatever. It's breaking news on our podcast where we're late and we're not
By our standards.
Yeah. Which I actually have some notes here. Okay, so a fire occurred within a Tesla Megapack at one of the largest batteries in the world in Australia's Victoria state on Friday in early August. So Paris-based renewable energy giant Neoen worked with Tesla and AusNet services to develop the grid-scale project. The state of Victoria is aiming for a renewable energy target of 50% by 2030. Now, the cause of the fire at the Victorian Big Battery site in Geelong, Victoria is not yet known. And as far as I know, it still isn't. But I'll probably double check that in a minute. It burned for 4 days and took 150 firefighters to extinguish.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm beginning to think that the only thing Tesla produces is flamethrowers.
Yes,
as much as their shit catches on fire.
So their cars burst into flames. They obviously have the actual flamethrowers. Their batteries burst into flames. Oh, I can't wait. That AI robot we were just talking about, probably going to burst into flames.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. I mean, the rockets, of course, but that's, on purpose.
Yeah.
And that's a different company, technically.
Well, they're all different companies, but it's all Elon Musk. Yeah, they're on paper. It's all the same company in my book.
different companies. Yeah.
So the battery is owned and operated by renewable energy giant Neoen and was developed along with partners including Tesla Energy and Osnet, with some construction by Simic Group's UGL. I don't know. Tesla has not disclosed what types of cells it used in the megapacks for this project, nor from which suppliers. While the Victorian Big Battery is not the first system of its kind, it is one of the world's largest battery energy storage systems. Tesla's Power Pack and Megapack products are probably the best known big batteries, but competitors abound, including from LG Energy Solutions, SK Innovation, Northvolt, and Powin Energy. So I had no idea there was this many companies doing this, but I don't know. Apparently, there's a whole little industry. So results of the investigation will be closely watched and could influence the way such systems are designed and built, according to Paul Christensen, a professor of electrochemistry at Newcastle University, whose research focuses on lithium-ion battery fires and safety. Among other things, developers of utility-scale batteries need to offer a means of monitoring the system that would allow owners, operators, and fire crews to see what's going on inside the system at any time. So I want to kind of highlight that point real quick. Developers think they need to offer a means of monitoring the system. Yeah. That do they not have that?
Like, hey, maybe we should see what's going on in here sometimes. That would be a good thing, right?
Yeah. So I would imagine, like, to me, this sounds like, okay, they've probably got like a basic fire detection system or like smoke detectors, but like they don't seem to have much else in the way of monitoring, which seems fucking crazy to me. But also knowing who's involved here seems totally believable that they have no monitor. Oh, I guess there could be problems. We should probably have a way to look for those.
Right. Well, and I mean, this particular system, I think, is outside, just out in the open. I mean, it's enclosed in some kind of boxes or whatever. But like,
Yeah.
I know that Tesla is selling, I think, what they call the power wall, which is basically a big lithium battery that you mount to the wall of your garage or whatever. That's for energy storage for solar panels or whatever. And so, like, you'd think with that kind of thing, you'd want some kind of like fire suppression system.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, that would make sense.
If it's going inside someone's house in their garage or whatever, like, yeah, I mean, lithium batteries are flammable. You know, it's happened quite a few times. I mean, of course, gasoline is flammable. There's plenty of cars that catch on fire, but like,
yeah, but your house isn't run on gasoline most of the time.
Yeah.
Also, water puts out gas fires pretty easily. I mean, relatively, versus a lithium-ion fire, which, as we've seen in the past with Teslas burning to the ground, takes, tens of times more water to put out.
Right.
Yeah, actually, while I'm thinking about, going through a career change, I should really consider being a firefighter, because like that's going to be real in demand soon, given where we're headed.
I mean, you got to have the mustache for that, though.
I have a mustache.
I mean,
so I'd have to shave the rest
too.
of it?
Yeah.
I don't think I like that. Yeah, I guess I don't like that. I guess no firefighting for me.
You got to leave the handlebar.
Yeah, I don't think I'm willing to do that. Except I do that every time, which is very rare. But I have shaved a couple times, and when I shave, I like leave various parts intact and like take pictures as I do it.
I think everyone does that.
Yeah. Very just trying to be relatable. Come on, we all do it. It's fun. So our professor here, Christensen, also said that these systems should be designed to allow space for first responders to maneuver around and aim a hose. Didn't know that was a concern either. Plenty of water should be available on site with enough hydrants installed. Containers would ideally have dead pipes that are capped and stick out, allowing firefighters to connect a hose and then step away and flood the container to extinguish the flames from a safe distance. Which, I mean, seems like a perfectly reasonable idea to me. Like, just put the water right to where it needs to go. Yeah, it seems like a good solution.
Yeah.
But it probably has a cost associated with it, so don't know if they're going to want to do that.
It could cost upwards of $200. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
really breaking the bank on that.
Well, yeah.
Well, I mean, I do know someone whose dad, I don't know if he still does, was fire sprinkler fitter. So he would, build that into new buildings, and I believe that can get pretty expensive for fire suppression systems. And I don't know if it's rated differently for lithium batteries.
Well, given what we've heard, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be cool if they do that. What's it, halon gas or whatever that just like chokes out all the oxygen, like in what is it, Terminator 2, I think. I don't know.
That seems like it could kill a lot of people.
So there's
though.
like,
like,
oh yeah, no, so it's like the heavy metal fire suppression system, or I don't know, whatever. You know what? Maybe it's a bad idea. Never mind. Forget I said that.
So yeah, given that, they do say at the moment water remains the best way to suppress a fire in any lithium-ion battery energy storage system, whether it's in a ship, an electric car, or a bus, or a giant system to store and dispatch energy at a power plant. So, apparently water's the best option still, even though it takes multiple days and hundreds of thousands of gallons of water. Doesn't bode well. Researchers are exploring other suppressants and approaches, but fires burn particularly hot, and repeated reignition is a risk with lithium-ion battery cells. So, yeah, kind of an issue. Now, if the fires keep happening, the professor fears that that could have a chilling effect on investments in big batteries, which, yeah, that makes sense. Even though they provide major environmental and cost benefits and help protect communities from long blackouts. The number of instances, this is a quote, the number of instances involving lithium-ion batteries, fires and explosions of all kinds, in terms of the number of lithium-ion batteries on the planet, it's still tiny, I guess, Christensen said. When an electric vehicle or a big energy storage installation goes up, it's big news. This can cause a disproportionate amount of worry. Although, it does seem like it happens pretty frequently. I mean, it's tiny, sort of, but, like, this stuff's still really new. So, like, there shouldn't be that many, fires and explosions. So there have been around 40 known fires that have occurred within large-scale lithium-ion battery energy storage systems. Jesus, that's a mouthful. According to Christensen's research. Those incidents, most of which occurred in the past 3 years, date back to 2012 and include 4 fires at 3 facilities in the U.S. in Arizona, Wisconsin, and Illinois. So I didn't hear about any of these before, but, it's about 40 of them out of however many. Yeah, there's been several, past disasters, and yeah, they're pretty bad. There's been issues in Arizona, which injured 4 emergency responders and is the most profound incident at a big battery in the U.S. to date. And then there was another one in Beijing. 2 firefighters died, 1 more was injured, and another first responder was missing after responding to a fire in a lithium iron phosphate battery, which was connected to a rooftop solar installation at a shopping mall. Lithium iron phosphate batteries are currently considered to be the safest form of lithium-ion battery because the structure of the material in its cathode doesn't break down until higher temperatures compared to other types of batteries. For example, that contain nickel, manganese, cobalt. I don't know.
I'm a little surprised there's not just more lead acid batteries for storage. Like I know they're not, they're not, they don't have the energy density that lithium does, but like they're cheap.
That's
and
true.
If you're doing a stationary power setup, it doesn't really matter how power dense it is.
Yeah, that's true.
But I don't know.
That's true. Yeah, it does almost make you wonder. Yeah. So anyway, at least for this fire, the Tesla Megapack fire in the Victorian Big Battery was safely contained with no injuries reported. So that's a bit of good news. These fires are tough to put out, but I don't know. Hopefully the technology gets a little bit better and they actually start paying attention to putting monitors in the system and like safety stuff like fire suppression systems. That would be cool. They put safety first instead of safety third or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Elon Musk made another product that burst into flames. Naturally.
Yeah. And I don't know if we want to talk about this on this episode, but like there's a couple instances lately where they've been like colliding with emergency vehicles. Or did we talk about that on the last one? I forget.
I think we talked about it before, but I've certainly shared memes about it. Tesla Autopilot is totally confused by emergency vehicles. So like when if you're in a Tesla driving on autopilot and you're near a cop with flashing lights, good chance that car's going to hit it. So if any of our listeners happen to drive a Tesla for some reason, and you see any emergency lights, you better shut that fucking full self-driving off as quick as you can, because you're gonna go careening right towards it. They have a real tendency to do that, and I don't think they've released why.
Yeah, and I think we talked about some of the other problems that they have with self-driving, and maybe we'll do a little bit more of a deep dive on that later in a future episode. But we'll see.
We will, but it's worth noting, since we're talking about the full self-driving, what Tesla is charging on that, which is kind of like old news, but I do have the article here somewhere. Okay. So Tesla launches full self-driving subscription package at $200 per month, and it aims to deliver level 5 full self-driving system. So Elon Musk's Tesla Inc. launched its full self-driving subscription for its driver assistance software package for $200 a month, which to me is what a fucking car payment should cost. Like, can you imagine just so like the upfront cost, like if you just buy it outright, it's $10,000. Which like it's a one-time payment. So I don't think you can add that to like your monthly car payment. Like if you want the full self-driving, you got to pony up 10 fucking grand to the dealer. I'm pretty sure. A one-time payment of $10,000. That's a big fucking deal.
And I also saw that they're prioritizing orders that pay for the full self-driving option. So they're basically saying, we'll deliver your car sooner if you give us $10,000.
Yep. So they're doing that. Now, if you can't afford the $10,000, you can do the monthly subscription, which seems like, oh, okay, that's more reasonable. But like at $200 a month, can you imagine like how you would justify that? Like, oh, in order to just have a shitty, terrible autopilot that isn't really autopilot, I can pay $200 every month to sit in sit in the driver's seat and like still have my hands on the wheel, but the car does all the work. You're like, yeah, the car's doing all the work, huh? Your hands on the wheel, sitting in the seat, paying attention, but the car's doing all the work. Gotcha. Like, so for $200 a month, you can have the privilege of the car having cruise control, basically. Which, I mean, that's what it is. It's cruise control, so.
Pretty much.
So, they do note that the full self-driving feature would cost $99 a month for those who previously bought the enhanced autopilot package. Ooh. So it'll cost less if you have something else that by the name should also be good, but it is not somehow. And according to Tesla, vehicle owners can cancel their monthly subscription at any time. You know, the current features do not make the vehicle autonomous. Instead, the vehicles require a fully attentive driver. So again, $200 a month for the privilege of nothing. And I'm sure people are paying it. So, seems like a pretty good grift, if you ask me. But yeah, Tesla sucks. That's all the news I got for this episode for now. There's other news we could do, but we had a lot of tangents, and this is the news that matters. The Nissan Z and Elon Musk fucking things up. I think covers most of the bases for us.
Yeah. Afghanistan, what's that? I don't know. Not in the remit of this podcast.
Yeah, probably not. Well, anyway,
we could probably tie it in somehow. I think they have Hilux.
Yeah. Maybe we should. I mean, I know. Well, There's Your Problem did I think it was a bonus episode about technicals, which is like when you get a machine gun and mount it on the back of a pickup truck. So they managed to fill some time talking about that. But I don't know.
Very nice option, that seems like.
Yeah. Well, anything else before we stop the recording here?
Just back to the normal stuff. Follow us on social media: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're Cars and Comrades podcast, and then we're also on Reddit and Hexbear, and I think that's the main ones. We also have an email at carsandcomrades@gmail.com. Email us, let us know what you think of the show, give us ideas, tell us your stories. And get in touch with us if you are any kind of woman, trans person, person of color, anyone who maybe has a different experience in the car scene than us four cis white guys might have. We would love to have some new perspectives on the show. So please get in touch with us if you would like to be part of that.
Yeah, or just if you have an unhinged rant, that'll be entertaining if nothing else.
Yeah, I do like unhinged rants. I'm one to go on them myself, so I can appreciate a good one.
Yeah, definitely.
So follow us on social media. Hit us up if you want to be come on the show. We like hearing from listeners, and hopefully we'll do the show with people, because and then rate the podcast if you like us. Hopefully 5 stars, nothing less. Don't do it. So only good reviews. That's what we need.
Yeah. If you can give us 5 hammers and sickles on some app, then do that.
Yeah, that would be better. Stars otherwise are fine.
Yeah. Stars are cool.
So that's all I got. So thanks for listening, and adios, listeners.
Bye. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
We don't think you fight fire with fire, bitch. We think you fight fire with water, bitch. We gonna fight racism, not with racism, but we gonna fight with solidarity. We said we're not gonna fight capitalism with black capitalism, but we going to fight with socialism.
Amazingly, or not so amazingly, Cuba's crime rate is one of the lowest in the entire hemispheres. Oddly enough, it seems that when people have their basic human needs met, they're less likely to commit crimes.
My calculations are correct. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
The free market mythology, it argues that the most ruthless, selfish, opportunistic, greedy, calculating plunderers, applying the most heartless measures in cold-blooded pursuit of corporate interest and wealth accumulation will produce the best results for all of us. Through something called the invisible hand.
What are you smiling about?
Dude, I almost had you.